What is going on, everybody? Today we will be going over a money making method along with how you can AFK Dagannoth Kings. If that's something that's interesting to you, make sure you stay tuned. Let's dive in. As for the requirements, you will need 90 plus combat skills, which is your defensive, your melee, yes, we are using melee during this method, and your constitution. You will also need 107 plus herb lore, so you have Elder Overload salves. You will also need a 73 plus summoning, so you're able to summon the Blood Reaver familiar, 92 plus prayer for soul split, and then 60 plus invention, so you can have an Odak coil. As for the quests that are required to make this an AFKable method, you will need to complete the Death to the Dorgashun, so you can get the tier 3 upgrade Cave Goblin technology tree unlocked, so you're able to make the Odak coil. After that, we do have the Temple at Centestin, so you can unlock Soul Split as well. The only recommendation I have is 112 invention, so you can create some potion reservoirs, since this does become a super AFKable method. As for the gear, we will be running with 4 pieces of the primal armor with the helm, plate body, plate legs, and the boots. As for the gloves, we will be running with the Cinderbane gloves, since we're going to be relying on proccing the poison damage on all of the targets as much as possible. And having the Cinderbane gloves there just makes the damage so much better throughout all of the kills. As for the aura, we will be running with the Vampirism aura, which will go hand in hand with the Blood Reaver and the whole poison setup. As for our cape, we will be running with the Fight Kiln melee cape, since you don't need a Zuck cape to get it done, for all of you in the comments. As for the necklace, we will be running with the Blood Amulet of Fury. As for the ring, I'm not too sure what goes with melee very well, since I hardly ever play with melee, but if there was a better ring than the Reaver's ring, please let me know down in the comments. And in our ammo slot, we do have the Primal Abyssal Armor Spikes inside of there. I did not put this as a requirement with the 100 Smithen requirement that you need to actually have these on, because they are not needed. If you just have the level, these are nice. It does speed up the kills. For the weapon of choice, we will be using the Lanica Spear, which, if you didn't know, it does have a passive effect to where it does do an additional 5% chance of landing a poison proc, along with additional 5% poison damage. So with this being a poison build, this is perfect for this setup. As in our pocket slot, we will have a Vampirism aura, which only does work for melee, for all of you who are still confused out there. And the Vampirism aura does go hand in hand with the Blood Reaver familiar, and it's passive. For the inventory, we do have our potion reservoirs for our Elder Overload salves. We have weapon poison plus, our quorum incense sticks, which we will overload and extend to a full hour, our powder of penances, Odak coil, a bunch of magic note paper, our Blood Reaver familiar, a bunch of cannonballs, our enhanced Excalibur, and our spring cleaner. Now, these are not a requirement, but the relic powers I was using was Luck of the Dwarves, Death Ward, and Fury of the Small, which the max of the levels you need for archaeology for that is for Fury of the Smalls being at 97. Before we fully dive in, I'd like to point out the majority of you are not subscribed to the channel, so if you guys are brand new to the channel, or if you've seen these videos before and you keep coming back, make sure to hit that sub button. Alright, let's continue. Now, the 2 fastest ways to get in there is using the Dagannoth Kings teleport tab, which does bring you up east on the upper level. All you have to do is you just climb over the ladder and you just surge and you bladed dive, or you just dive all the way down the path until you see the rocks and the little formation above the ladder. All you have to do is just cross over those rocks, and don't worry, once you cross these rocks, it is a safe place, so you have no worries about being attacked, so you can get all of your stuff ready right there. Next up, you have the Max portal and the War's Retreat portal. If you guys have either one of those unlocked, those will be the fastest way of getting to the Dagannoth Kings. Now, once you're at the instance above the ladder, this is where you get everything ready. Your potion reservoir with your Elder Overload salve, you activate your Scrimshaw of Vampirism, you turn on your Vampirism aura, you overload all of your Quorum incense sticks, you max them out to 1 hour, you Spread around your powder of penance. This is typically where you can also do weapon poison plus plus plus. Then you join the instance, you summon your familiar. Since the spot up there above the ladder is not big enough, then you're supposed to come in and lay down your Oldak coil and fill it with the cannonballs exactly in the spot so it attacks the Dagannoth Rex. But I tended to forget to do the beginning part right here. But I also tested out on this one, so you'll also notice that I didn't turn on my potion reservoir right away or my weapon poison plus plus plus. But that's because I just wanted to see how much damage they could actually do to me before I actually needed to do extra damage, and also to have an Elder Overload salve active. As for the reroll bar, we will be using Dismember, Slaughter, Blood Tendrils, Meteor Strike, Cleave, Chaos Roar, Hurricane, Quake, Overpower, Sever, Smash, and Slice. Now, since I'm not too fluent with how melee actually works, please let me know down in the comments if a better revolution bar is out there for this method. Now, you're probably thinking, how do you damage each one of the Dagannoths since each one is only weak to a certain attack style? Well, that's pretty simple. Your Blood Reaver does all of the work. You are literally relying on all of your poison procs on each one of them besides the Supreme, since it is weak to melee, and you can do enough damage with this reroll bar that you take out Dagannoth Supreme pretty quickly. But when it comes to Dagannoth Prime, you are only literally killing Dagannoth Prime by using your poison procs, which is why it's super crucial for this to be a giant poison build. Now, since we are using melee for this method, you don't have to worry about the Dagannoth Supreme at all, since your reroll bar will just take it out pretty smoothly. As for Dagannoth Rex, we are using the Oldak coil, which is magic, which is strong against Dagannoth Rex, which it does do a decent amount of damage. So by the time you finish off the other two and you start attacking Dagannoth Rex, it should be about half health pretty much. And since you are using melee, you are able to damage Dagannoth Rex too, so it makes it a little bit quicker than a Dagannoth Prime. Now, while you're doing house chores or whatever you're doing for this AFK method, the only things you have to pay attention to, of course, is your potion reservoir. So when one is ran out, activate the next one, throw an Elder Overload salves, and then pay attention a little bit and then reactivate the new one. After that, every 30 minutes, you got to pay attention to your Powder of Penance. Of course, you have a logout timer, so you just got to pay attention that you have to come back, maybe move the screen around a little bit, or just by looting over the time, it doesn't log you out. So pay attention to your Powder of Penance and your logout timer every 30 minutes or so. After that, you also need some Weapon Poison plus 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 to be activated every 12 minutes. And from the 4 hours of testing that I did with this, Weapon Poison plus 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 is super crucial to have active, since it does deal amounts of damage to Dagannoth Prime. And of course, the most important thing to keep an eye on for is your loot. If you don't grab your loot, you're not making your GP during your hour of doing this method. So I did about 4 hours of Dagannoth Kings, and I started off trying it out with Necromancy, and I was only getting about 70 to 80 kills in an hour, and I was only making about 8.8 million off of drops. And then I moved over to melee, and I was getting 150 kills per hour very consistently. And almost every single hour of melee that I was running, I was at least getting one drop of either one of the rings. As for the expenses, we have to count for the cannonballs, which we used about 1,600 per hour, which equates to about 2.6 million GP in an hour. After that, we used magic note papers, of course, at about 350 per hour, which is about 250,000. But then you also have the Death Note relic. If you want to use that instead of one of the relics I showed earlier, you can save about 1/4 mil of GP each hour. As for this test, since it's not a requirement to have and you can get kills done, and you can still get kills around 150 kills per hour, we are not going to put our Abyssal Primal Armor Spikes on here. Now, we are only going to go off of those 3 melee kills that I did. For the first kill, we got about 24.4 million GP off of that one. Kill 2, we got 11.6. Kill 3, we got 13.8. Now, after all of the expenses and your median for all 3 of those, you're looking at about 13.8 million GP per hour, which is not bad whatsoever for something that is this AFKable, especially if you are going for a boss log with them. But that does come an end to this video. If you guys found anything interesting or useful, make sure to hit that like button. If you guys are brand new to the channel and you like to see more money making methods and or novice PVM work or low effort or AFKable skills for bossing, make sure to hit that sub button, hit the bell icon so you know when I upload next. But until next time guys, I hope you stay safe. See ya.